Thank you guys so very much. I appreciate it. I feel very blessed. And I hope that my words can inspire someone to do something. We're all here to make a difference. And I hope that my words touch you in some way, some shape, some form, and educate as well.
Yes, Queen.
Yes. Woo! I'm doing 2 pieces. Woo-hoo! And if I get emotional,
we love it.
Bear with me. My first piece I wrote, and already I'm getting thinking of my son, and it's called Officer Please. What if my son couldn't breathe, officer? Would you shoot him or save him? He feels his breath escape him. He falls to the ground. His tears run down his face as he gasps, gasps for air, all the while crying for me, his mother. How long would you let him suffer? 30 seconds? 5 minutes? 8 minutes and 46 seconds? An hour? Or perhaps 4 hours and 30 seconds? At that moment, would it matter if he got 90s or 50s in school? What difference would it make if he got inducted in a gang or his youth ministry at church? Would you honestly care in that moment if he respected his parents or called his father horrible names? My son falls to his knees at your feet, both hands in the air, his Nikes or his church shoes slipping in the dirt on the pavement, scattering pebbles and gravels in their wake. What difference of yours is it if he volunteers every Saturday at a nursing home or sells Lucy's on the corner to his friends? Why should my son fear walking down the street with a bag of Skittles and an iced tea? How could you confuse him, my sweet baby, with a criminal simply walking down the staircase of his own apartment building after pulling him over for a busted taillight? Will you strike it odd that he's engaged to a loving woman or that he has a warrant for unpaid child support? Should he be shot 8 times in his back for a routine stop? Do you have a child, Mr. Officer? Do you fear for his safety every single day? Does he look like me or my husband or my father or my brother? No, he doesn't. Because that's your child, right? You love him, pray for him, kiss his head at night, just as I do with my own son. But it's my son. That's the difference, isn't it? Didn't right before your wife gave birth to him, you both had one wish. Please let him breathe on his own and take his first breath. I did too, as did my husband. But I gave birth to my son, not your wife. I kissed away all his boo-boos and chased away the boogeyman at night, not you. He's my son, my baby, my little stinker, who's turning blue before you, Mr. Officer. He can't breathe. He can't breathe, and he begged you not to shoot, not to kill him, just to let him breathe. Please, please, Mr. Officer, please. My second piece.
Woo!
The second piece is called Black Girls Writer's Block. I need to write a poem, but the black ink in my pen refuses to allow itself to bleed on my white pages. This poem that is stuck in my head needs to come out, but it fears the pain and degradation that all blacks feel when we open our mouths. This poem of mine is filled with wrath as it watches the revolution get a fire start in Minnesota and Minneapolis and New York and California. My poem wants to rage its own poetic war for George Floyd and Breonna Taylor and Rashawn Brooks and Mike Brown and Natasha McKenna and Samir Rice and Sandra Bland and Eric Gardner and Amadou Diallo and Philando Castillo and Trayvon Martin and Sean Bell and Elijah McClain and damn! There's not enough ink or enough trees to be cut down to make enough paper to write down all of the names of our slain brothers and sisters that this poem wants to write about. Words for this poem are strangled and choked in my throat. They feel the imaginary knees on the back of my neck of a corrupt system, crushing the syllables and consonants before they can be even uttered beyond my teeth. This poem woke me up like a nightmare out of my sleep, like that last scene in a horror film when you think it's safe, but a cop breaks down your door and kills you in your own home while you are asleep. Oh, this poem, it lacks warrants or an alibi or a blue code of silence. It does not want to remain silent. It wants to be heard. It wants to be seen. It wants to preach. It wants to educate. It wants to breathe. It wants to live. It wants to live. It wants to live. But how can it when all of the ones who need to hear it are deaf to a black girl's struggle with writer's block?
Yes! Yes!
Thank you guys so much. This is my home. This is where I live. And I am grateful to see so many different faces coming out for not just me, for my son, for my students, for my husband and my family, and all people of color. Thank you so much for believing that this is important. Please educate yourself. I'm a teacher always. Educate and fight the system the right way. Hard facts. Thank you so much, everybody.